want you to be successful. And if you can't open up an email, you cannot be successful. So you have to take a step and open up the email that you received from us on the 21st of September in the toolbox on the Advisor Center. You would have gotten an email here in the envelope right next to your name. That's the secure mailbox under living benefits opportunities. And you would have gotten a list of clients and a list of phone numbers that would qualify for a living benefit product. You need to use this list to help you finish the year strong because it's here. All you need to do is just pick up the phone and make the call to set up a meeting. Okay. On the 23rd of September, your clients got an email as well telling them that there's products that I might be interested in with your contact information. But if you don't take the first step, your client will not be calling you. Okay. So we are doing our part. We're doing half the job for you by giving you the names and the phone numbers. All you need to do is pick up the phone and schedule the meeting. Okay. And have a conversation with your client. Has it been 6 months? Has it been 12 months since you last spoke to your client? This is a great opportunity to discuss critical illness and disability opportunities with them to help you and to help them. Today, we're going to be talking about Assure and Go. Assure and Go is an electronic platform just like Evo. Okay, but with Assure and Go, you don't need to download anything. It's actually all available online. And in order to get onto Assure and Go, you don't need a separate username or password from the ia.ca password or username. You just log in yourself into the ia.ca advisor center. And then when you're logged in, you will be able to get onto the Assure and Go platform. You just click on launch Assure and Go and launch it from there. Once you get into Assure and Go, you'll notice there's multiple products that are available. One of them is CancerGuard, which is our simplified issue critical illness product. Our simplified issue critical illness product available for anybody that has been postponed or declined for critical illness. As long as there's no AIDS, HIV, or cancer, they can get up to $150,000. They can get up to $50,000 if they've been postponed or declined. If they haven't been postponed or declined and you're applying for CancerGuard prior to their being postponed or declined, you can get up to 150. That's $100,000 more if they've been postponed than if they've been postponed or declined. So it's always better to apply prior if you are worried that maybe their health, their family history, or their upcoming doctor's visit. So please make sure that you keep that in mind because it's very important that you do. It's only 5 questions, and CancerGuard protects you against life-threatening cancers. It has 3 non-life-threatening cancers as well there, but it also has the ability to protect you against heart attack, stroke, coma, paralysis, coronary bypass surgery, and coronary bypass surgery. So please keep that in mind because it is there to help your clients that have a difficult time qualifying for the underwritten critical illness products. Superior is our underwritten disability program. It is the superior of the two between Axogen and Superior. There's less limitations, less exclusions. So definitely something to consider if your client is willing to go with the underwriting and then doesn't have a problem with needles or having the blood pressure taken or getting medical information, then this is something you should consider. Keep in mind our disability programs. We only verify income at time of claim, so that's actually I would say an advantage. You don't need to verify income at time of application. I do recommend you do that, but there's no need until time of claim. Universal loan insurance is a great conversation starter. It gives you the ability to increase your incoming disability benefit. So normally your disability benefit is based on your income, and if you're having an income, well, then that will reduce your disability benefit. Okay, so when you become disabled and you still have an income, it has the ability to reduce your benefit. Whereas with universal loan, it's not based on income; it's based on your expenses like your mortgage, your rent, car payments, loans, lines of credit, and so forth. You can continue to be making an income while you're disabled. Universal loan will still pay out. Okay, so just like Superior, it is an underwritten product. but definitely something you should consider. Any and every advisor that's looking to grow within the WFG business, that looking to get an MD role or an SMD role or higher, needs to have universal loan insurance, because when you become disabled, your team doesn't become disabled. Your team continues working. If your team continues working, you're having an income, and if you're having an income, that could potentially reduce your benefit or negate your benefit. Universal loan will not do that. It'll still, as long as you have those expenses associated with the universal loan payout, it'll continue paying you up to $5,000 a month. Axie 7 is another great conversation starter. I have 2 slides at the end of the presentation about Axie 7, but just quickly, Axie 7 is standalone coverages, 5 standalone coverages that have the ability to provide unique coverage to your clients. Disability in case of an accident is available for anybody that is not employed. So you should definitely consider it for anybody that's a stay-at-home spouse. You have your accidental death and dismemberment as a standalone product. You have your accidental fracture as a standalone product. Anybody that has a spouse or a child that's part of a team definitely should consider universal fracture for the entire team. Talk to the parents, get them coverage, and protect their kid when they are injured while playing a sport. You also have the ability to have extended medical care due to an accident to help pay for things that OHIP would not. And you have the hospitalization stay as well. So for every day you're in hospital, you have the ability to get anywhere between 70 and $350 a day. But I'll talk a little bit about more that about the end of the presentation. And right now, what we're going to be doing is discussing AxioJet, which is our most popular disability program. AxioJet is available to clients that are looking to get simplified issue, yes or no answers, disability coverage, looking to get coverage within 24 to 72 hours, that have health issues, might not qualify for the superior disability, or are truck drivers that have issues with their income. So a little bit about disability in Canada. 1 in 2 Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. That is something that is very true today. With inflation, with interest rates, with COVID, a lot of people have been affected by um, not having the ability to pay for their expenses, by having to live paycheck to paycheck. And unfortunately, that is very true. As a financial advisor, you don't have control over COVID, interest rates, or inflation, so you can't do anything about that. But you do control the conversation you're having with your client, and that conversation should include disability coverage. And it should include disability coverage because you have the ability to provide income replacement to your clients when they become disabled. That is the power you have. 1 in 3 people will have a 90-day or longer disability period at least once prior to age 65. 1 in 7 Canadians are disabled at any given time. And 48% of bankruptcies and mortgage foreclosures are due to disability. Don't let your clients become a statistic and be forced to declare bankruptcy or go into mortgage foreclosure if they were to lose their job or have to take time off of work because of a disability. Make sure they're protected. Make sure they have an income replacement solution like AxioJet or Superior to help them through their disability period and on the way to recovery. According to LIMRA, 50% of consumers will be more inclined to buy insurance. They don't have to pass a medical test. So that's becoming more and more popular. More and more people are interested in simplified issue because they don't want to go through underwriting, or they don't want to wait for an underwritten product to be approved. Okay, it's not only people that are sick, it's people that are older people. It's actually people that are young and don't have the patience to wait for underwriting to be completed, or people that are worried about needles or maybe getting their blood pressure taken. Okay, so definitely something to consider. Don't forget, because of our IA umbrella, we have multiple products that fit this criteria. For life insurance, we have Access Life. For critical illness, we have Cancer Guard, and for disability, we have AxeJet. So what is AxeJet? It's a simplified issue income replacement coverage that doesn't require any medical exams. It's there to help pay out for disability coverage and overhead expense coverage as well. It pays out in case of an accident or a soft tissue injury, but it can also pay out in case of an accident, soft tissue injury, and an illness. It has the ability to cover you 24 hours a day or outside of work. I always recommend the 24-hour coverage because you just never know what's going to happen. And outside of work coverage, um, you just never know if the work coverage is going to pay out based on the incident that occurs. So better safe than sorry. Go with 24-hour coverage. You have additional riders that you can add, like the accidental death and dismemberment rider, the accidental fracture rider, accident medical care due to an accident rider, and travel insurance. Okay, so the two I would recommend most are definitely accidental fracture and accident medical care due to an accident. Accidental fracture has the ability to pay out on top of your disability. Sometimes you might have a fracture, not necessarily be disabled, so disability might not even kick in. And the beauty of accidental fracture is that you don't have to stop working for it to pay out. So that's something to consider. It's very affordable. And then accident medical care due to an accident, very affordable as well, but it helps complement accidental fracture. It pays out due to an accident to cover things like ambulance transfer, physiotherapy, uh, private nursing, stuff that OHIP would not cover that you might end up needing if you do have a fracture or if you are in an accident. Travel insurance is very comprehensive, so keep that in mind. It gives you up to $5 million worth of coverage. You have up to $5,000 worth of trip interruption and trip cancellation, and you can also extend travel insurance for your entire family. So if you love to travel, if you like going down south, being outside of the country for a little bit longer, up to 60 days, or outside of the province, definitely consider travel insurance. So you do have to be totally disabled unless you have the partial disability rider in order to have the disability benefit kick in. What do we mean by total disability? Well, you have to be under the regular care of your physician according to the frequency that's required for your client's condition for the duration of your client's state of incapacity. What's that mean? It basically means that you have to see your doctor on a regular basis so that they can determine that you're still disabled and that we can continue paying out the benefit. So it's not good enough for you just to go see your doctor in the beginning and then go out and stay on vacation for the rest of your disability. Okay, that's not how disability works. This is not a vacation break. It is there to help you recover and get better so you can get back to work. Now, what's also important is that with AxeJet, you protect your regular occupation for two years or 5 years. 2 years or 5 years. Okay. If you're looking for a longer period of time to age 65, that is still possible with Superior. Okay. Now in AxeJet, it's 2 years or 5 years. Now you can also get a benefit period of 2 years, 5 years, or all the way up to age 70. I recommend going with whatever period for the coverage, the same as the regular occupation period. So if you're going with a 5-year regular occupation period, the benefit period should be 5 years as well. That way your client knows they can be only disabled a maximum of 5 years, and after 5 years, they'll be forced to go back to work. You could mix and match. You could go with a 5-year regular occupation period and a benefit period to age 70 if you like, but keep in mind that after 5 years, you will be asked to check to see if you're capable of any other reasonable occupation. If you are capable of any other reasonable occupation, you'll be asked to go back to work. Okay, and then your client will be upset because they'll look at the contract, they'll say, oh, I have a benefit period to age 70. Why are you asking me to go back to work? They won't remember the conversation you had with them at the time of application. They'll be upset at you, and it'll cause issues. So just keep that in mind. If you are ever mixing and matching, you need to make notes have your client sign so that you can show them the that you did have the conversation, because I guarantee you they will forget. Axyjet is a simplified issue product, but it has the ability to cover soft tissue injuries as well. And 42% of disability claims are soft tissue injuries. So soft tissue injuries happen all the time. Any sprains, strains, muscle, ligament, tendon contusions, back, neck, spine injuries, all those are considered soft tissue injuries. As an advisor, you need to read the contract and get yourself familiar with what a soft tissue injury is and what is covered, because there are limitations. Now, you might say, I don't like limitations. That's not a problem. We have options and opportunities for you. So please make sure that if you are worried about the limitations, that you consider our superior program. Okay. But this being a simplified issue, this being Axyjet, it still has the ability to cover soft tissue injuries. Now, Axyjet is a simplified issue product, so yes or no answers that are required. It requires a short questionnaire, 3 questions to help cover you for the accident and soft tissue coverage, 9 additional questions for the illness. The coverage is guaranteed renewable to age 70. It provides 24-hour coverage as an opportunity. It is a non-taxable monthly benefit. There is a waiver premium that's built in so that after a certain amount of time, the premiums will stop and will resume once you go back to work. You have the ability to get your premiums refunded. The way the return of premium works is you get 50%, that's 50, of your premiums back minus any claims. So if you haven't claimed at all, you'll get 50%. If you've claimed some, you'll get whatever you've claimed deducted from that 50%. You have to have the policy in force for at least 10 years, and you can't get your money back until age 55, 60, 65, or 70. You can extend your regular occupation from 2 years to 5 years, and you can get your benefit, partial benefit paid out as well. Whom should you be talking to? Well, anybody who's self-employed, you should definitely be talking to. If they're self-employed, they don't have group disability, therefore they need to have some type of disability. Standalone disability is best for them. Construction workers, farmers, fishermen, miners, anybody that doesn't have group disability coverage, that has group coverage, but not group disability coverage, should definitely, just like the self-employed, have a standalone disability program. But also, if your client tells you they have group disability, don't stop there. Make sure you dig deeper and ask them how much their group disability coverage is, how long they have to wait for it, how long will it pay out for, is it short term, is it long term, and so forth. Because I guarantee you, whatever they're getting through their group benefits will not be enough to help cover their expenses that they will have associated with their cost of living and any additional expenses like their rent, mortgage, and so forth. So we have programs that are available to be added on top of what they're getting from their group insurance. Sometimes people might not even be maximizing their group disability coverage. So make sure you're asking questions. Don't stop by when your client tells you they already have group disability, because they don't even know what they have. Oh, one thing that I forgot, um, truck drivers definitely, they're our most popular clients. Keep in mind when you're talking to truck drivers, they like Axyjet because as a truck driver you have the ability to get up to $2,000 worth of benefits if you can't prove income until 12 months. Okay, so that's something to consider. But if you're talking to truck drivers and you're dealing with trucking companies, please make sure you reach out to Avnish and myself. We are getting so many applications submitted that are submitted incorrectly. We want to make sure that you're aware of the fact that the trucking company, the dispatch company, cannot be the owner of the policy. You cannot use the trucking company or the dispatch company as their address or their phone number or their email. You have to have each individual truck driver, be it the truck driver or the truck driver owner operator, as the owner of the policy. Okay, you need to use the truck driver's phone number. You need to use the truck driver's address. You need to have a beneficiary for the accidental death and dismemberment that is associated to the truck driver. So maybe they're family members. You need to make sure that you're aware of all this because we're getting more and more incorrect submissions, and we want to make sure that people are aware because we want to make sure that you are um, getting these processed quickly as well. So make sure if you're working with a trucking company, you're looking to submit multiple truck drivers, you reach out to Avnish, you reach out to myself, and discuss before you do. That way we can also notify our new business department, telling them that'll be more cases that will be coming in. Very, very important. What are the eligibility requirements? Well, you have to be between the ages of 18 and 69. So this is something for people that are working past the age of 65. So definitely something to consider. More and more people are working past the age of 65, so this is something that they should think about when it comes down to disability coverage. You have to be working at least 8 months per year and 21 hours per week. You cannot be limited in terms of your movement and daily activities due to injury or illness, and you cannot have a chronic neurodegenerative disease. These 3 points, the hours and the injury, illness, and chronic neurodegenerative disease, these 3 points are the exact 3 questions we ask. So if you say yes to the hours and no to the next 2 questions of being disabled, you will qualify for coverage. Very important to keep that in mind. Quick and easy. For anybody that is new to the business, this is a quick and easy way to get paid and get a sale. All you need to do is answer 3 questions, and you're giving your client the ability to have disability coverage in case of an accident and soft tissue injury. Okay, you could be a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident, and you could be a temporary resident as well to qualify for this coverage. Keep in mind, temporary residents usually are here by themselves. They have family back home and they're helping their family financially. If that's the case, well, if they become disabled, they don't have any income coming in, they cannot help family anymore. But they still have to pay for their rent or their mortgage and their bills. They don't have OHIP, so they need to have some type of disability coverage. If your client's been in Canada as a temporary resident less than 3 years, they can still qualify for this disability coverage, but keep in mind that their waiting period has to be 119 days and the benefit period has to be 2 years. This is another common mistake that people make. If your client is a temporary resident living in Canada less than 3 years, in Canada, not having the coverage less than 3 years, less than 3 years in Canada, then they need to have a waiting period of 119 days and a benefit period of 2 years. If they're 2 months away from being 3 years in Canada, give them this coverage, and then when the 3 year period mark comes, make sure you're lowering the waiting period to 30 days, and you can extend the benefit period to 5 years. As soon as the 3 year mark reaches of being in Canada, not having the coverage, but being in Canada, you're on the phone scheduling a meeting with your client to make changes to this policy so it has the ability to pay out sooner and potentially longer as well. Here's a list of those chronic neurodegenerative diseases. So this is something you might want to take a picture of as well. Consider that this is something that would exclude your client from getting accident or soft tissue coverage. If your client is looking for disability in case of an illness, this is something you should always be discussing. Don't stop at accident only. Illness should also be educated to your clients because your clients sometimes might become ill, and if they only have accident coverage, the disability will not pay out, okay, if they're disabled due to an illness. So educate your clients that disability due to an illness is something different than critical illness. They're there to complement each other, okay? They are not there to exclude each other. They are there to complement each other to make sure that your client has both and both have the ability to pay out. Now, when it comes to oxygen and the disability in case of an illness, and when you compare, look at our height to weight ratio, you'll notice it is very lenient. When we're looking at the criminal record, we're looking at 12 months. Being absent for work for 2 consecutive weeks, also 12 months. When it comes to alcohol, there is no consideration for weekly consumption. Type 2 diabetes, Clients that have type 2 diabetes are bound to end up in hospital sooner or later. Therefore, this has the ability to potentially still protect your client when they become disabled due to an illness of type 2 diabetes. So something to consider. When it comes to musculoskeletal nervous disorders, I personally recommend Superior. Okay, this is a simple Oxygen is a simplified issue product, so it's going to be more difficult to pay out for those. Remember how I told you there are limitations and exclusions? Well, one of those limitations would be the soft tissue injuries. Depending on your occupation, depending on your duties, you will fall into an occupation class where 4A is your safest class, where you're least likely to become disabled. Class C is your riskiest class, where you're most likely to become disabled. If we're talking about truck drivers, most of the truck drivers would be a 1A. Therefore, if a truck driver has a soft tissue injury, the maximum benefit payout would be 60 days per disability. So per 60 days per injury and that causes a disability to a lifetime maximum of 180 days. Okay, so that's very important to remember. If your clients are not happy or not satisfied with that, not a problem. You have other options available to you, such as superior disability coverage, where they would have to go through underwriting and potentially get that coverage there. So there are options available within Industrial Alliance itself if you don't like the fact that there are limitations or exclusions associated with the Oxygen program. When it comes down to the two most common objections, you'll find that most people will tell you I already have a group coverage or I already have a group or a government program, which is great. If they're thinking about disability income replacement, this is awesome. But these coverages aren't for everybody. Keep in mind that some government programs have limitations regarding the severity of the disability or where the accident happens or how long the duration payout might be. Very important to keep that in mind because what happens is that with government programs like WSIB, you think you're protected at work, but if the incident occurs at work, is not work related, the WSIB doesn't have to pay out. I've seen cases where an incident occurred and WSIB did not pay out, and the client only had outside of work coverage. Well, guess what? It did not pay out here either because they didn't have 24-hour coverage. 24-hour coverage is the best. That's the only one I would recommend. Employers group insurance is there, yes, but it only covers a portion of your salary. Don't forget, it also stops when you're changing jobs. I guarantee you your group insurance coverage will not be enough. You should definitely consider some of our additional top-up coverages that have the ability to increase your client's disability benefit. Very important to keep that in mind. And then don't forget, whenever you're changing jobs, there's probationary periods. So you have to wait 3 months, 6 months, 12 months to get through your probation. That means no disability coverage. If you become disabled at that time, you will not get a benefit paid out. With your standalone disability like Oxygen, you can get the benefit payout on the first day of your probationary period because it's not associated to your work. It's there 24/7. So that's something you need to consider and think about as well. Oxy 7 Plus, I told you I have 2 slides on this. Quickly, it's 5 standalone coverages: disability in case of an accident, accidental fracture, accidental death and dismemberment, extended medical care due to an accident, and the hospital benefit. Very quick, very easy. You can buy each one individually. They get paid out within 7 business days. It's available for anybody between the age of 0 and 74, except for disability in case of an accident. You have to be at least 18 years of age to qualify for this. You have to be in Canada at least 12 months and have to have a provincial healthcare plan. You cannot be disabled at time of application either. Okay, so how do these plans work? Well, disability in case of an accident is available for somebody that's not necessarily employed. Could be a stay-at-home spouse. They can get up to $700 or up to $1,400 per month if they're disabled due to an accident. It pays out up to a maximum of 7 months. Accidental death and dismemberment, you can get anywhere between $70,000 and $350,000. Accidental fracture, you can get up to $7,000 or up to $14,000. The $7,000 will cost you $7 a month. The $14,000 will cost you $14 a month. You want to go back to the disability in case of an accident. The $700 benefit will cost you $7. The $1,400 benefit will cost you $14 a month. Extended medical care complements accidental fracture. For another $7, you can get up to $100,000 worth of coverage. And then hospital benefit, you can pay out anywhere between $70 to $350 a day for every day you're in hospital. For accident, it's $7 per unit. For accident and or illness, the premium is a little bit different. So I do recommend playing around with the software, getting yourself familiar with it, and talking to your clients about this. It's very affordable, and it's definitely needed when it comes down to clients' insurance needs. Don't forget, every Thursday at 7 p.m., we have our Fast Start training session. The first 2 Thursdays of each month is life insurance. The third Thursday is investments, and the fourth Thursday of each month is living benefits. I do recommend you reach out to Avnish to get yourself registered for these. If you're new, if you haven't used this in a while, it's a great refresher, finding out about the products, how they work, the software, and so forth. So please make sure that you reach out to Avnish if you're interested in those. If you're interested in registering for more daily sessions, you can reach out to Avnish as well for that. And don't forget, every Tuesday is a Living Benefits Tuesday. It is year end. This week will be our last training session for the year, and we'll be resuming those in the new year as well. Okay, so after the 8th of January. I do encourage you to reach out to Avnish and getting yourself registered for 2024 and all our training sessions there. So that's it for me right now. I'm going to go into the software and show you how simple and easy the software is. So just bear with me a second and let me open that up for you. If there are any questions, please make sure you're using the Q&A or the chat. That way we can help answer any questions you might have right there and then. Let me just reshare the screen again. As you can see, the Assure and Go website is there. All you need to do is get into ia.ca, log yourself into the advisor center, click on launch Assure and Go and launch it from there. This is what you're going to see when you launch Assure and Go. First thing you want to check out is the library. Library provides you with the ability to read all the contracts for all of our products. I do encourage you to do that. That's very important. We also have brochures that you might want to share with your clients, like client flyers, and also advisor guides. Definitely something to consider. We also have tools, underwriting tools, decision tools to help you determine if if your client would qualify for a case, if they should apply for a claim, and so forth. We also have forms. Administration forms are associated to any changes to a policy that's in force, and claim forms are here as well. If you're looking to file a claim, you click on claims, other, and how to make a claim. Very easy, very quick. So please make sure you familiarize yourself as an advisor with the library. Any business you submit will be tracked under My Business. Okay, anything that's in progress and force close and so listed here. If you're looking for reports, you'll find reports here. You can search for your enforced policies here as well. All of this is at your fingertips for you to use and get familiarized with. So let's run an illustration. On the left-hand side, you products. On the right-hand side, you have your underwritten products. So we're going to click on Axijet, which is simplified issue. We're going to create a new client. We're going to click add. It's important that you keep this in mind because you need the client's detailed information to help you with the quote. First of all, it gets transferred over to the electronic application, but also it helps with the premium. So definitely keep that in mind too. So let's put in the client's details in here. Okay. First question it asks is if you are a if you're eligible for employment insurance. Okay, so it asks that because when you become disabled, what happens is employment insurance has the ability to pay out as well. So it's important that you keep that in mind. Employment insurance has the ability to pay out when you become disabled. And if that's the case, you're going to say yes to employment insurance. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say yes to a truck driver or no. Is your client a truck driver? The reason it's asking if your client is a truck driver because truck drivers, their travel insurance is a different premium. They travel more outside of the province, outside of the country. It's going to be more expensive. Their overhead expenses, if they have overhead expenses associated to their business, their truck, they're limited to $3,000. So please keep that in mind. We're going to say no in our case here. Then you need to choose occupation class. Okay, and this is the most common questions we get asked about. Oh, my client is so and so. What occupation class do they fall into? This is something that's going to take time. If you're using disability for the first time, you're probably not going to know. But the more you go out there, more you talk to people, the more familiar you're going to be with occupation classes. Remember, 4A is your safest class, least likely to become disabled. C is your riskiest class, most likely to become disabled, okay? Now, to help you with a cheat sheet, if you hover above the I here, you get the definition of all the occupation classes. So just quickly, if your client is doing any physical work and it's more than 20% of their job, there'll be a C, a B, or a 1A. If their physical work is less than 20% of their work, it's going to be a 2A. If there's no physical work whatsoever, it's a 3A or a 4A. So that's very important to keep that in mind. You also have a cheat sheet here of occupation list, but this cheat sheet is limited to only 704 occupations. I guarantee you will find some occupations which will not be here. So I do recommend that you try your best to come up with the closest occupation. Ask your client for their duties and try to find out as much as you can about their role and their duties so that you have the ability to determine the occupation class as best as possible. Okay, that is important because the occupation class will help lead the premium as well. So let's say my client was a truck driver. Okay, I type in truck, and as you can see, multiple trucks come up. Okay, it could be a 1A, it could be a B, it could be a C. So you need to ask your client, are they driving a truck? But okay, what type of truck? Is it an armored truck? Is it a tow truck? Is it a semi-trailer or trailer truck? You know, these are the questions you need to ask. Construction is a common one. It's not here. Okay, but then you might want to ask yourself, maybe my client works on the construction site. Maybe they're a roofer. Maybe they are a drywaller. Okay, you can see these come up as B. So construction will most likely be a B as well. I like to use teacher because teacher is very versatile. Because somebody might say, oh, I'm a teacher, but are you a martial arts teacher? So then you're a C. Are you a horse riding teacher? If so, you're an 1A. If you're a dance teacher, you're a 2A. Not everybody is an educational institution teacher, which is a 4A. So you need to keep that in mind. Okay. So next it asks of type of employment, and this is only just for your own personal use. You could be a business owner or an employee, or you could be self-employed. This basically just tells you where to go to verify your client's income. Now, why would you want to verify your client's income? Because I did tell you that we verify income at time of claim. Remember that? So when your client becomes disabled, we'll ask to verify their income at time of claim. So that's very important to keep that in mind. And what's going to happen is you have the ability to put in your client's income. And depending on your client's income, first of all, they will qualify for an amount that the benefit will pay out for, and that may affect their premium as well. So you should verify their income because I could tell you, oh, I make $100,000. That's my income. Well, what do I show to the government though? Because remember, that is what we'll be checking with you or your client when they become disabled anyway. So might as well tell me what you're showing to the government. If you're showing to the government 70, well, then that's what you should be putting down, not 100. Based on this 70, my benefit is a $4,000 benefit a month while I am disabled. So if I'm disabled, I will be getting $4,000 each month while I am disabled. Then I need to choose, do I want 24-hour coverage or non-work related? I always recommend 24 hours. Regular occupation, 2 years or 5 years. I always started with 5 because 2 years goes by really quickly. You just never know. And it's if your client's budget doesn't allow for it, no problem. But you can always move down to 2 years. But always start off with 5. 2 years is better than 5, but 2 years goes by really quickly. So next, I need to choose my benefit period because my regular occupation period is 5 years. I'm going to go with a benefit period of 5 years as well. Okay, so 5 years, 5 years. My client knows that they can only be disabled for a maximum of 5 years. Next is coverage 1 and coverage 2. People are asking me, why is there 2 coverages? Well, there's 2 coverages because you can split this $4,000 into 2 payments, maybe making it more affordable for your client. Let's say have one payment be 30 days and then another payment be 119 days. Okay, you need to play around to see if it makes sense or not, but you have that ability. In this case as well, you need to remember you have employment insurance. So if you said yes to employment insurance will pay, and then some will come from Industrial Alliance as well. You can't get more than 4,000. So the maximum you can get from Industrial Alliance while employment insurance is paying is $1,600, right? So we're going to put in 1,600 here. The waiting period, let's say we go with 30 days. So after 30 days of being disabled, my client will start getting $1,600 from Industrial Alliance. The rest he'll be getting from employment insurance. After employment insurance ends, I can ask for the remaining $2,400 from Industrial Alliance. When these two add up, it's $4,000 a month, right? So for the first 30 days, after the first 30 days, my client's getting 1,600 plus EI. Then they're getting the other after 60 days, once again, 1,600 plus EI. 90 days, 1,600 plus EI. 119 days, if employment insurance stops, then they're getting 1,600 plus 2,400. Okay. Now my client might not need 4,000. They might be okay with 3 or 2,000. If that's the case, great. 4,000 is the maximum I can get. This is for accident and soft tissue. Next is illness. Okay, you need to remember, you always need to have a conversation with your client about illness. Illness is important. Illness is there to help your client in case of an illness. It's there to complement critical illness if your client has some. These two will not necessarily pay out at the same time. They can, but they don't have to. Benefit period, okay, our regular occupation period is 5 years. My benefit period will be 5 years too. Coverage 1 will be 30 days. After 30 days of being ill, I will get $1,600 from Industrial Alliance. The rest will come from employment insurance. And then afterwards, I can get my remaining $2,400. Simple, easy. This is the premium right here. I can add partial disability if I want. If my client is partially disabled, I can get up to I can get up to 50% of my premiums. If my client is disabled 50% or more, they can't do their duties for 50% or more. And it has the ability to pay out up to 6 months. If my client wants return of premium, I can add that as well. Okay, how does return of premium work? Well, it's basically 50% of my premiums minus any claims. As long as I've had the policy in force for at least 10 years, I can exercise the return of premium at age 55, 60, 65, or 70. If my client has overhead expenses, I can add those here. Keep in mind, whatever the cost associated with overhead expenses, I can write those off as a business expense. When it comes to accidental additional riders, I can add accidental death and dismemberment. I can add travel insurance for the client themselves. Remember, travel insurance up to $5 million worth of coverage, up to $10,000 for trip interruption, trip cancellation. And you also have the ability to get family coverage. Okay, so you can get family coverage right there. Very affordable. If your client's family likes to travel, this is something I would consider for sure. Accidental fracture, I can get up to $5,000 worth of coverage for $4 a month. I can get up to $10,000 worth of coverage for $8 a month. And what does accidental fracture cover and how does it pay out? Well, depending on the type of fracture, you'll get 10%, 25%, or 100% of the payout. And then I would add extended medical care due to an accident, $2.50, very affordable. It helps pay for up to $100,000 towards things like ambulance transfer, physiotherapy, private nursing, things that OHIP doesn't cover. So $140 is my monthly premium. It helps protect my client in case of an accident, soft tissue, and illness for 24 hours for up to 5 years, for up to $4,000 a month. My client also has partial disability, return of premium. They have travel insurance for their entire family. They have the accidental fracture up to $10,000, and they